Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through stacks of sources, articles, research, our own notes, and we pull out the key insights, the really important stuff, all tailored just for you. Today we're jumping into something that, well, many of you might find incredibly familiar, maybe even a little bit daunting. Have you ever been there, like on the edge of a conversation, maybe at school or college, and you have the English words ready in your head, but there's that little flutter of nerves, that hesitation. Maybe you worry about how you sound or if the words will even, click together properly. It's a really common feeling, almost like staring up at this huge, huge mountain. Well, today's deep dive is all about giving you the map, the tools, and maybe most importantly, we've gathered some really fantastic insights and practical tips, specifically for students like you who want to unlock that speaking potential. Think of this as your personal guide to reaching the summit.
It is fascinating, actually, when you consider just how much impact this one skill, confident English speaking can have. I mean, it touches so many different parts of your life. We're talking academic success, obviously. Clear communication can make your presentation stand out, make group projects run smoother.
Right.
But it goes way beyond that, into the whole landscape of future opportunities. Mastering this isn't just like ticking off a subject box. It genuinely opens doors. Careers you might not have considered, higher education paths
that need that global perspective. Fundamentally, it's about way more than just a school subject. It's opening up this entirely new world of communication, of connection. It lets
English has really cemented itself as the global language. I mean, it just has. Whether you're, at a market in Mumbai or on a university campus somewhere in Europe, chances are English is going to be the bridge, the common ground for talking to people. And that's not just convenient, it's a practical necessity now. So if we link that directly to your life as a student and what you might want to do later, well, the implications are huge. Take job interviews, for example. In today's world,
so many careers, especially in growing fields like IT, customer service, marketing, even starting your own business, they absolutely require confident English communication. It's often not
for lots of students aiming for specialized courses, master's degrees, PhDs, maybe studying abroad. English isn't just helpful, it's often a requirement. It's essential for college, for university. Courses increasingly bring in international stuff and so much cutting-edge research, academic journals, online courses. It's mostly in English.
Right.
Without strong English skills, you might find yourself locked out of really valuable learning opportunities, or just struggling to keep up if the teaching is in English.
Okay, so jobs, higher ed, what else?
We absolutely have to talk about competitive exams. They're such a big part of the journey for so many students in India, right? For major exams like UPSC.
You can't communicate it fluently and logically, you can't fully demonstrate that understanding.
Makes sense. And beyond all that, beyond the classroom and careers, it's just the sheer power of international communication. English lets you connect with people, with ideas, across the entire planet, effortlessly. You can understand global news firsthand, join online communities, read world literature, watch international films, travel more easily. You really become a citizen of the world. Just expand your whole perspective.
Okay, that's definitely clear. English isn't just another class, it's like a foundational skill for life today.
But If it's so important and opens up all these amazing opportunities, why does it feel like such a huge hurdle for so many students? Why is speaking confidently so challenging?
Getting what you're saying, and that naturally hits your confidence. Like specific sounds.
Exactly. Think about the sound in words like think or three. That sound doesn't exist in many Indian languages, so it's tricky. Your tongue needs to be in a specific place between the teeth, or telling the difference between V and W, like wine versus vine, or west versus vest. They sound similar, but the mouth shape is different. V uses teeth on lip, W uses rounded lips.
Right, I can see how that could be confusing.
It really can be. It's almost like trying to play a musical instrument but not knowing exactly how to form the notes. You might be hitting the right keys, but the sound isn't quite clear, the melody.
Just pausing awkwardly.
Yeah, like you know what you want to say, but the words just aren't there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to build, say, a really cool, complex Lego castle, but you only have a handful of the most basic square bricks. You have the vision, the design in your head, but you just don't have the right pieces, the different shapes and sizes to actually build it. And that often leads to hesitation, feeling stuck, which just chips away your confidence again.
And that leads to the confidence issue itself, right?
Yeah.
The fear.
Precisely. That brings us to what might be the biggest barrier for many. Lack of confidence or just deep hesitation. This isn't always about
Actual ability, it's more of a mental block. The fear of making mistakes, of sounding awkward or incorrect, or maybe even silly. It can be absolutely paralyzing. It makes people
powerful inhibitor.
Yeah, definitely felt that before.
And finally, there are difficulties with sentence construction. Just struggling with the grammar, putting words together in the right order to make proper, clear sentences. You might know lots of individual words, but arranging them correctly, especially when English sentence structure might be quite different from your first language. That's a real challenge.
Like word order.
Exactly. For instance, in Hindi, the verb often comes at the very end of the sentence. If you try to translate that structure
directly into English, it often sounds wrong or confusing. It's like knowing all the ingredients for a cake. You've got the flour, sugar, eggs, but you don't have the recipe. You don't know the steps.
But, and this is really crucial, these are incredibly common challenges. They're not personal failings. You're not alone in facing them. And even more importantly, they're completely, absolutely surmountable. Every single one. With a systematic approach, with patience, and especially with daily, consistent practice, you can overcome all of these. You can turn that daunting mountain into a really rewarding climb.
So, okay, if those are the common struggles, how do we even start? Especially for students who already have so much going on.
Classes, homework. Where's the starting point? The base camp, maybe?
The first step is actually surprisingly simple, and it's where we build the strongest foundation. It's just starting with the everyday.
Simple, everyday basics are we talking about here? Can you give some examples?
Absolutely. Just think about your normal day. First off, greetings. Every day, multiple times, you greet people, right? Parents, friends, teachers, maybe someone at a shop. So practicing things like, hello, how are you? Good morning, good evening, nice to meet you, how's it going? They might seem super basic, but they're the oil in the engine of conversation.
Yeah, the absolute fundamentals.
Exactly. Imagine the first day at a new school, meeting a new classmate, or just saying
Hello to a teacher. Being able to do that smoothly and confidently sets a really positive tone right away. Shows you're open, friendly.
Okay, greetings. What's next?
Introduction.
Then, common questions. Think about how many questions you ask every day. Things like, what is your name? How is the weather today? Can you help me with this? What time is it? Where's the library? What's for homework? Wow. These are direct, practical, super useful in so many situations. Asking a friend for help, asking for information in a shop, finding your way around school, mastering these simple question forms is really empowering. It lets you start conversations, get information you need.
Right, puts you in control of it.
Exactly. And finally, just simple statements about your daily life, your activities, your likes, dislikes. I'm going to school now. I like to read adventure books. I finished my physics homework. I play cricket in the evening.
That all sounds very doable. Focusing on just those basics seems less intimidating. But I can imagine some listeners thinking, okay, 10 minutes saying good morning, won't that get really boring really fast? How do you keep motivated with something so, well, basic?
That's a fair point. And it brings us to the how and the why of this basic practice, which are just as important as the what. Yes, the suggestion is to dedicate just 10 minutes every morning. It's small, it's manageable, but it needs to be consistent.
And the key to making it effective and less boring is a specific, really powerful tip. Practice in front of a mirror.
In front of a mirror. Why is that?
It sounds a bit odd, maybe.
Well, it helps you build visual confidence. You actually see yourself speaking English, even if it's simple sentences. And it lets you make instant, small adjustments to your pronunciation or how you're holding yourself. It's like an athlete watching a video replay of themselves to see exactly how they moved, or a dancer using the mirror to perfect their posture. That conscious observation helps connect knowing the words in your head to actually saying them comfortably and clearly.
Ah, I see. So it makes it more active, less passive.
Exactly.
It turns what could be a monotonous task into more of a self-coaching session. You're not just reciting words, you're kind of performing for yourself, getting comfortable with the physical act of speaking English.
Exactly right. Once you've got that solid base camp established, the next logical step is to start expanding your supplies, supercharging your word power, or, put simply, growing your active vocabulary. The goal here is pretty straightforward. Aim to learn maybe 5 to 10 new words each day, but and this is the really important part, you need to actively use them in sentences. It's not about just memorizing lists for a test. It's about making those words part of your actual usable language toolkit, ready
To deploy when you need them.
Right, active use, not just passive recognition. So how do you make these new words actually stick? Beyond just cramming definitions, what's a good way to approach learning them?
Well, an obvious one is school and study. Words like study itself, you can immediately make a sentence. I need to study for my history exam. Or homework. Did you finish the math homework? Or other words like assignment, project, lecture, notes, exam, library. These are words you hear and use all the time in your academic life.
Okay, school makes sense. What else?
Another easy theme is just daily life. Think about your routine. Words like breakfast. I usually have idle for breakfast. Or shopping.
I need to go shopping for a new notebook. Or think about your hobbies. Cricket, reading, music, drawing, coding. Words related to feelings, happy, tired.
Right, because just reading a list isn't enough. The real learning happens when you actively engage with the words and revisit them. There are several really good methods you can use. First, the classic flashcards. Simple but effective. English word on one side, meaning on the other. Maybe add a simple definition or even a Hindi translation at first if that helps. The reason flashcards work so well is something called active retrieval practice. Every time you look at the word and force your brain to pull out the meaning, you're strengthening that connection.
It's much more powerful than just passively reading the word and its meaning together. It's like a mini workout for your memory.
Okay, flashcards. What about technology? Apps?
Oh, absolutely. Language learning apps have been a game changer, especially for students. Apps like Duolingo, Memrise, Quizlet, they're incredibly popular for a reason. Many of them even have specific learning paths designed for Hindi speakers, which can be really helpful. Why do they work? Well, several reasons. One is gamification. They use points, levels, streaks. It makes learning feel more like a fun game than a chore. Another is convenience. You can use them anywhere, anytime, on your phone, during a break.
On the bus. And maybe the most powerful thing they use is spaced repetition. Basically, our brains naturally forget things if we don't revisit them. Spaced repetition algorithms figure out
perhaps the most vital technique for truly owning new vocabulary, for moving it from just understanding it to actually using it, is sentence creation. It's not enough to know a word in isolation. You need to know how it works in a sentence, who its friends are, what other words does it hang out with.
Right, context is key.
Exactly. So the practical tip here is, for every new word you learn, create at least 2 different meaningful sentences using it. Let's say you learn the word library. Don't just know it means a guy cocktail.
Make sentences like, I often go to the library after school to study, and our city library has a great collection of fiction books. Doing this moves the word from your passive vocabulary.
A good practice tip is to pick your 5 new words for the day and consciously try to say them aloud in sentences 3 times throughout the day. Morning, afternoon, evening. Just weave them into your thoughts at quick practice moments. This repetition, combined with active use, really makes them stick and feel natural.
Grammar, okay? Just take the word. It can make people tense up, right? It brings back memories of confusing rules, red pens, maybe feeling lost in class. But here's the thing for speaking. You really don't need to be a grammar expert.
You don't need to memorize every single rule and exception. That's not the goal here. Instead, for clear communication, the focus should be on the basics, the foundations. When you simplify it like
the key, focusing on the essentials. We definitely need to stress that understanding basic grammar is crucial for effective communication. It's like the framework of a building. It holds everything together so your words make sense. Without that basic structure, even a great vocabulary can sound confusing or jumbled.
Right.
And the good news, especially for students in India, is that you probably already have excellent resources right there. Your Insert English textbooks for classes 9 and 10. Think of books like Beehive and Moments. Don't just see them as school books. They're
Fantastic tools for building your speaking foundation, too. They usually explain grammar clearly and simply, often in the context of stories or dialogues you're already familiar with.
Okay, insert book.
Okay, number 1, tenses, or emphasis. In Hindi, these are absolutely vital because they tell the listener when something happened, is happening, or will happen. That's fundamental. Focus on the main ones first. Present simple for habits and facts. I drink tea every morning. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Past simple for finished actions in the past. I visited my grandparents last weekend. We watched that movie yesterday. And future simple for plans or predictions. I will call you tomorrow. It will probably rain later. Using relevant examples
Like these, things related to your own life, helps you grasp how and when to use them much faster.
Okay, tenses. Present, past, future, simple. Got it. What else?
Second, and just as foundational, is basic sentence structure. See, say, for, the fundamental blueprint for English sentences. The most common and simplest structure is subject plus verb plus object, like she subject reads verb newspapers, object, or they subject play verb football, object. Boom. Understanding this basic SVO structure is like knowing how to build the main frame of a house. Once you've got that strong frame, you can start adding more details, adjectives, adverbs.
It's connecting words to build more complex and interesting sentences. It's the scaffolding for everything else.
SVO. Subject plus verb plus object. Simple enough. But even with these basics, it's easy.
Yes, common pitfalls. Knowing these can really help you self-correct. A very frequent one is incorrect verb agreement, especially with those helping verbs, auxiliary verbs. For example, learners often say, he don't like milk instead of the correct, he doesn't like milk. The rule is, for he, she, it, for the person singular, you use does or doesn't. For I, you, we, they, you use do or don't. Another one is using the wrong verb form in continuous tenses, like saying, I am go to the market instead of
I'm going to the market. Remember, after am, is, are for continuous actions, you need the ing form of the verb. These might seem like small things, but they make your speech sound less natural.
Right, those little details.
Prepositions can be really tricky, like saying I am good at maths instead of I'm good at maths, or using discuss about a topic when you should just say discuss the topic. Prepositions often don't translate directly between languages, so learning common correct pairings is key. Articles a and the can also be challenging, as many Indian languages don't use them in the same way. Knowing when to use a or and for general things, I need a pen, and the for specific things, can I borrow the pen you're using, takes practice and
Exposure.
Definitely tricky areas. So how can students practice getting these right?
Well, going back to the answer folks, actually doing the grammar exercises in them is really effective. They're designed specifically to reinforce these basic rules and combine that with active creation. Make it a daily habit. Create maybe 5 new sentences yourself. Deliberately try to use different tenses or include words you just learned, or focus on a tricky preposition. For instance, say yesterday I went to the park and I saw a dog playing with a ball. This active application forces you to think about the rules and use them practically. It helps those rules move from your head into
Your actual speech. It builds that grammar muscle memory.
Okay, so we've covered the basic phrases, growing vocabulary, getting a handle on essential grammar. Now let's talk about how you actually sound, pronunciation. And let's be clear, this isn't about getting some kind of perfect accent, because really, what even is a perfect accent? There are so many varieties of English. The goal is clarity and confidence, making sure your message gets across clearly without the listener having to struggle. It's like tuning an instrument. You want each note to be clear so the melody works.
Regardless of the instrument's specific sound. And for many Hindi speakers, there are specific sounds that can be challenging, but addressing them can make a huge difference in how easily you're understood.
Absolutely.
Make technology your friend. Leverage YouTube and dedicated audio resources. There are some fantastic channels out there like English Addict with Mr. Steve or the classic BBC Learning English. Many of these channels actually focus on common pronunciation challenges faced by Indian learners. They'll break down sounds like the, showing you exactly where to put your tongue, maybe even with diagrams, or they'll help you clearly differentiate between V and W, demonstrating the mouth movements.
This visual and audio guidance is incredibly helpful.
Okay, YouTube channels. Good idea.
Second, get into the habit of using online dictionaries that have audio pronunciations. This should be automatic.
Exactly. The classic example is it schedule or schedule. Listening to the audio instantly clears it up, and pay attention not just to individual sounds, but also to which syllable gets the stress, the emphasis. That's really important for sounding natural.
Listen to the dictionary, got it.
What else? Then there's something really fun and effective. Mimicry practice. This is where you actively copy native speakers. Watch English movies or popular web series. Friends is always a good one for conversational English, or even
Short English news clips or documentaries. But don't just watch passively. Pick a short phrase or sentence. Listen carefully. Pause the video, and then try to say it exactly like the speaker did.
melody and the rhythm naturally by copying.
So how much practice?
Even just 10 minutes a day dedicated to this kind of mimicry can make a big difference. Listen to a song, a dialogue snippet, and actively try to copy it. Maybe even record yourself on your phone and compare it to the original. You might be surprised at how quickly you improve.
Right, okay. So we built a base camp with basic phrases, stocked up on vocabulary, put up the grammar shelter, and fine-tuned our pronunciation. Now it's time to actually hit the trail, put it all together in the real world. This feels like the most important part, where all that
Preparation actually turns into communication. Like moving from rehearsals to the actual school play performance, you have to apply what you've learned in real situations. So how can...
Or another language and start trying them in English.
Okay, like what? School seems obvious.
Exactly. School is full of opportunities. Instead of automatically switching to Hindi, try practicing phrases like, can I borrow your pen? Or, what's the homework for math today? Other useful ones could be, could you explain that again, please, to a teacher? Or, where's the chemistry lab? Or, what time does the lunch break start? Or, I need to submit this form. Or, how did your presentation go?
Yeah.
Just practicing these simple exchanges out loud, maybe even quietly to yourself first, prepares you for the real moment and builds that automaticity.
Okay, school scenarios. What about outside school?
Think about going to a shop, maybe buying stationery, a book, a snack. Practice the interaction. How much does this cost? Do you have this note?
Definitely. And then, of course, there's chatting with friends. This is often the safest, lowest pressure environment to practice. Casual conversations are perfect. Try things like, want to watch a movie later? What's your favorite subject? How was your weekend? What did you do after school yesterday? Are you free later? That sounds fun. I agree with you. These are just natural, easy ways to use English socially without feeling like you're being tested.
Those scenarios are great, really relatable, but for a student who's still feeling quite shy or nervous, how do they actually make
Make that jump from practicing alone or with a safe friend to actually using it in a real shop or asking a teacher a question. That leap feels big.
It does feel big, you're right. And crossing that bridge takes conscious effort. The practice tip here is to break it down. Choose just one scenario each day. Say, today is at the shop. Spend 5 or 10 minutes just thinking about phrases you might need. Maybe practice them quickly. Don't try to master everything at once. Focus. And a really powerful technique to bridge that gap is role-playing. Seriously, encourage role-playing these situations. Do it with supportive friends or family members, or even just act out both sides yourself.
In the mirror.
Role-playing, does that really work?
It works wonders because it creates this safe space, a low-pressure simulation. You get to try out the phrases, make mistakes without any real consequences.
Fitness, you could say.
Okay, role-playing. Good practical step. Now, we hear this all the time from students. They say the biggest hurdle isn't really the grammar rules or knowing enough words. It's the confidence. Just the sheer nerve to actually open your mouth and speak. You might have it all prepared in your head, but that fear, that shyness, it can feel like an invisible wall holding you back. But here's the really good news, and we need to emphasize this. confidence is absolutely a skill you can build. Just like learning vocabulary or grammar.
It's not something you're born with or without. It's something you cultivate, step by step.
That's so true. And building that speaking confidence, it's as much about shifting your mindset as it is about
It is, but think about it. If you let the fear of imperfection stop you from speaking, you'll never get the practice you need to improve. It's a catch-22. Think about learning to ride a bike. You expect to wobble, maybe fall off a couple of times. You don't see that as failure. You see it as part of the process. You get back on, adjust, and keep trying. Mistakes in speaking are exactly the same. They're just feedback showing you where to adjust.
Okay, embrace mistakes as feedback. What else builds confidence?
Something really simple but effective.
talk to yourself, in English, of course. Just dedicate maybe 5 minutes each day when you're alone to simply speak out loud in English about anything. Your day, your thoughts, your plans.
Because it's a completely zero pressure zone. There's no one listening, no one judging, no fear of saying the wrong thing. It's just pure practice and forming thoughts and sentences in English, making the whole process feel more natural and less intimidating. It gets you comfortable with the sound of your own voice speaking English. It quiets that inner critic.
Interesting, like a private rehearsal.
Exactly. And finally, in today's world, think about joining online communities. There are tons of online groups, maybe on platforms like Discord or
Telegram. Specifically for people learning English, why are these helpful? Because they offer a safe, usually supportive space to practice with other learners. Everyone's in the same boat, facing similar challenges.
Okay, so don't fear mistakes, talk to yourself, and maybe find an online group. Good strategies. Now, to help students on this journey, let's pull together some of the best tools and resources, things they can actually use. Think of it as their essential toolkit, their study buddies. We mentioned them before, but let's start again with the insert books. Classes 9 to 12 English textbooks. They're not just for school exams. They're full of short stories, poems, and importantly, dialogues written in pretty straightforward English.
Reading these dialogues out loud, maybe even trying different voices for different characters, is fantastic practice for understanding natural conversation flow and common phrases in context.
Absolutely.
Hello Talk is really interesting because it connects you directly with native speakers for language exchange. You teach them your language, they help you with English, you can chat via text, voice messages, even calls. Real practice. And Elsa Speak is specifically focused on pronunciation. It uses AI to listen to you speak and gives you detailed feedback on specific sounds, word stress, intonation, like having a personal pronunciation coach.
Okay, apps for different needs. What about watching stuff? YouTube.
Definitely.
YouTube is an incredible resource. Channels like English with Lucy, she's great for clear explanations of grammar, vocabulary, common mistakes, often with a British English focus. Or Let's...
Yes, if someone wants to really dive deep into vocabulary beyond apps, a classic recommendation is Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. It's not just lists of words, it teaches you word roots, prefixes, suffixes, so you learn how words are built. This helps you figure out the meanings of hundreds of new words you encounter, even if you haven't seen them before. It's about understanding the system of English vocabulary, a very powerful tool.
Word Power Made Easy. Got it.
So if you think about it, all these resources together
cover different bases. Ncert gives you the foundation. Apps give you gamified practice and specific tools like pronunciation feedback or partner exchange. YouTube gives you engaged...
all these fantastic strategies, tools, and resources. But the big question for many students is, how do you actually fit all this into an already packed schedule? With classes, homework, maybe sports or other activities, exam prep, it feels like there's no time. The key, though, isn't finding huge chunks of time. It's about creating a practical, consistent daily routine that works for you. Like a personalized study plan, but for speaking practice. And consistency, even in small doses, is way more
effective than trying to cram it all in occasionally and then burning out. So let's outline a simple, maybe sample daily routine, something manageable. How about starting in the morning? Just 10 minutes.
With them. Use your flashcards for an app. Quick, focused boost.
Keep the momentum going.
Right. Then, in the evening, maybe after studies, when you're relaxing a bit, allocate maybe 15 minutes. This is perfect for that mimicry practice. Watch a short English video clip, an episode snippet, a YouTube lesson, listen and repeat. It's learning, but it feels more like entertainment.
Yeah, enjoyable immersion.
And finally, maybe just before bed, another 10 minutes. Yeah. Use this time to just speak, or maybe even write a little bit about your day in English. Reflect. Today I learned, or
tomorrow I plan to. Low pressure, just reinforcing everything.
That routine sounds really balanced, and the power of it lies exactly in that consistency. It stops you from feeling overwhelmed. What's really amazing, almost like magic, is how these small, regular efforts compound over time. It's not about finding hours every day that's unrealistic. It's about finding these small, dedicated pockets of time that become non-negotiable. Each 10 or 15-minute session is like making a small deposit into your English Fluency bank account. Individually, they might seem small, but added up over weeks and months, they build
A really substantial reserve of skill and confidence. It turns this huge goal into a series of small, achievable daily habits.
Small habits, big results.
absolutely crucial. So how do you cultivate that champion mindset, especially when it feels tough or you hit a plateau? First, and this is so effective, set small, ridiculously achievable goals. Forget about becoming fluent for now, that's too big, too vague. Focus on tiny steps. Your goal for today might be learn 3 new sentences, or speak for 2 minutes without stopping, or ask just one question in English in class. Why does this work? Because every time you achieve one of these tiny goals,
It's a win. It proves to yourself you can do it. It builds momentum and makes the next small step feel less scary, more possible. These little wins stack up into real confidence.
ignite your own drive and keep you going when things get tough. They're proof that the path exists.
Find role models, find inspiration.
Exactly. And third, perhaps the most powerful mindset shift. Embrace positive thinking about mistakes. We talked about not feeling them, but take it a step further. Reframe mistakes actively. See them not as failures, but as essential learning opportunities. This is the heart of a growth mindset, believing you can develop your abilities through effort and learning from experience. So when you stumble over a word or make a grammar error, it's not proof you're bad at English. It's valuable data. It's showing you precisely where you need to focus next. This turns
Frustration into fuel. Every mistake is actually a signpost guiding you forward, showing you're trying, you're learning, you're growing.
Mistakes aren't failures, they're feedback.
Got it. Wow, okay. This deep dive has really mapped out a clear path, hasn't it? It shows that speaking English confidently is a skill, like learning anything else, and it's absolutely within your reach. It comes down to that consistent practice, using the right approach, focus on those daily conversations, keep building that vocabulary, simplify the grammar you need, sharpen your pronunciation, and maybe most importantly, speak with confidence, knowing every little step forward counts.
You really do have the tools now.
And if we just zoom out for a final thought, mastering a language like English It does so much more than just open academic or career doors, although it certainly does that.
That's a powerful way to end, expanding your entire intellectual landscape. We really hope this deep dive gave you some fantastic insights and, more importantly, practical, actionable steps to